The ongoing internal conflict at Daystar Television Network DTV has painted a troubling picture of power struggles, betrayal, and ethical challenges within a high-profile Christian ministry. At the heart of this controversy is Jonathan Lamb, son of Daystar's co-founders Marcus and Joni Lamb, and his wife Suzy. Their personal testimony, bolstered by documentation and recordings, exposes an intense battle over leadership, personal convictions, and familial relationships that has rocked the nearly 30-year-old network. The conflict between Jonathan Lamb and Daystar escalated in a dramatic fashion when Jonathan discovered a tracking device placed in his company vehicle. The discovery, which he believes was divinely timed, came after Jonathan felt a spiritual nudge to check the security camera footage at the Daystar property. In the footage, Jonathan saw Shannon Kelly, Daystar's head of security, opening the trunk of his car and placing something inside. When confronted, Kelly initially denied the action, but a mechanic later confirmed the presence of the tracker. The situation took on even more significance when Jonathan learned that the tracker had been purchased nearly 2 years after the death of his father, Marcus Lamb, who had co-founded the network. Daystar's official stance had been that trackers had been placed in all vehicles following Marcus' passing in 2021. The revelation of this timing added to Jonathan's suspicions that he and his wife Suzy were being targeted by the leadership of Daystar, especially by Jonathan's mother, Joni Lamb. Tensions between Jonathan, Suzy, and Joni intensified throughout 2023. The rift began in July 2023, after Jonathan and Suzy refused to read a viewer comment praising Joni's controversial new marriage to Doug Weiss. The Lambs expressed concerns that Weiss lacked biblical grounds for divorcing his first wife, a stance that deeply offended Joni. This disagreement led to a meeting where Joni and Daystar ally Jimmy Evans allegedly mocked Jonathan and Suzy, further straining their relationship. Jonathan sent an email to Joni, calling her behavior emasculating and hurtful, which only worsened the situation. Joni responded by firing Suzy from her on-air role, deepening the divide between mother and son. The conflict reached a boiling point in November 2023, when Daystar's board, led by Joni and CFO Arnold Torres, demanded that Jonathan sign a non-disclosure agreement (NDA). The NDA would strip Jonathan of his position as vice president and board member if he refused to comply. Jonathan stood firm, refusing to sign the agreement, asserting that doing so would be an act of insubordination. This confrontation, recorded by Jonathan, highlighted the severe internal power struggles at Daystar, as the board pressured Jonathan for hours to comply, even threatening his employment status. In a further escalation of tactics, Jonathan and Suzy discovered that they were being followed by a private investigator in September 2023. Video footage captured a purple car tailing them and their children, later identified as belonging to a private investigator. While Daystar refused to comment on whether the investigator was hired by the ministry, Jonathan and Suzy suspected that the surveillance was part of a broader pattern of intimidation, aiming to control and silence them. One of the most distressing aspects of this saga involves the allegations of abuse against the Lamb's daughter. In August 2021, a forensic counselor had initiated an investigation into a family member suspected of abuse. However, Marcus and Joni Lamb shut down the investigation before it could be completed, telling Jonathan that the allegations were unfounded. In November 2023, Jonathan discovered that this was false when a counselor reported the abuse allegations to Child Protective Services (CPS), prompting a police investigation. This revelation transformed the conflict from a professional dispute over Daystar's leadership into a deeply personal mission for justice. Jonathan and Suzy stand for their convictions has come at a steep cost. In retaliation, Suzy's parents, both Daystar employees, were dismissed or reassigned to lower roles. Jonathan's own position was eventually stripped and his salary was slashed by 40%. Joni Lamb also demanded that Jonathan and Suzy destroy recordings of meetings and conversations that could embarrass Daystar or Joni personally. Jonathan refused these demands, viewing them as a toxic overreach and an attempt to silence dissent. The ongoing struggle for control within Daystar reflects deeper issues of governance and transparency within the ministry. Following Marcus Lamb's death, Joni has consolidated power, raising questions about her leadership and accountability, especially regarding her marriage to Doug Weiss. The Lamb family's public struggles highlight the challenges that can arise in family-run ministries, where personal dynamics often collide with professional responsibilities. As the dust settles, the future of Daystar Television Network remains uncertain. Jonathan and Suzy are resolute in their commitment to exposing corruption and seeking justice, with Jonathan describing their journey as one of divine intervention. Despite the heavy-handed tactics used against them, they remain steadfast, believing that their fight is part of a larger calling to stand for truth and accountability. The scandal has cast a long shadow over Daystar's reputation, once a beacon of Christian broadcasting. The network's internal struggles are now laid bare for the world to see. Whether reconciliation is possible within the Lamb family and whether Daystar can recover from this crisis is still unknown. For Jonathan and Suzy, however, the fight is far from over as they continue to navigate their mission for justice and transparency in a deeply fractured ministry.